Howdy friends, welcome back to my channel. My name's Luke, and today I'm going to take you through my collection of Hoya, so stay tuned for more. Hoya have quickly become my favorite plant to collect. They suit my parenting style quite well. I think they're kind of fun and unique, typically easy propagators, and yeah, I just really enjoy them. So I'm going to take you through my collection of Hoya today. This is something I've been meaning to do for quite some time, but just have never gotten around to it, or for various reasons have just not. Most of my Hoya are kind of gathered in two spaces, ideally close to the grow lights or close to the window, because I found they like a lot of light. Other than the light, I mean, I don't do anything super secret, super special. I kind of just take care of them as is. Some of these Hoya really desperately need to be repotted, and that will be the topic of another video at some point. But today I'm just going to show you kind of them in their natural environment as it is today, and then I'll deal with the repotting at a later time. Also, full disclosure, I apologize if the lighting is kind of bad. That's really been the main reason I haven't made this lighting, is because I can't control the lighting, because there's like the grow light, then there's the window light. It's just kind of a hot mess. But bear with me, as this may not be the most cinematic video ever, but I'm gonna do my best. So most of my Hoya collection is kind of beside this window here on this little shelf. So this one here is my Hoya Varieties. I've had this for quite some time. I think I featured it in a video recently that I'll kind of link somewhere over there. But yeah, really great grower. I love all this kind of purple sun stressing. It does really well because it's next to this light, so it gets super stressed looking, so that's why it's so purpley, but one of my favorites for sure. Then next to it, I have my Hoya sigillatus. This one also gets this nice kind of purple color here because it's so close to the light. This one's kind of a slow grower, but as you can see, it's been kind of like trailing down. So it's definitely gotten some good growth, but this one also I quite like for the purple color and also the cardboardy leaves. This is a string of hearts that desperately needs water. This is also, now I believe it's also a Hoya Varieties. I got it as a Kentiana, but I'm pretty sure it's also just a variegated Varieties. You can see this one too, tons of purple on the leaves, which I really love, and because it's lighter, it really shows more like pink, so that's definitely a cool one here. This one doesn't grow as fast as the regular Varieties, but I do quite enjoy it. I did get it a little bit after the other one too, so that's why it's smaller, but really cool plant. This is one of my faves, if I had to guess. Next here we have a cutting. This is from Adam, not dude. This is from his variegated obovata. It has a ton of roots, as you can see, but I just haven't potted it yet. Anxiety at its finest. Anxiety, procrastination at its finest. But this one definitely needs to be repotted soon because there's a ton of roots and it's ready for its own pot. I skipped over here. These are a bunch of sigillatus, just cuttings. They took forever to grow roots, but you can see they are growing roots down here. So those will probably get potted up soon. Also, they're kind of for trade, so if anyone's looking to trade, maybe reach out. We could trade a sigillatus cutting for something else. Next here is my Hoya Matildes, which is also another one of my favorites. Also, don't mind the mess over here. I apologize. Just kind of cluttered. Not the most aesthetic here. This is also why I put off this video for so long. It's because I had to like clean up all this stuff. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna show the people the Hoya, and hopefully they can disregard my mess. But like this leaf specifically, look how giant that leaf is. Like, I just think it's so nice. I love the Hoya Matilde because the leaves are kind of thick and they just look like little buttons to me. This one does get a little splashy, so you can see some of these are kind of splashy. It's definitely one of my favorites as well. Actually, kind of all of my Hoya are my favorites, but so maybe I'll stop saying that. This one I do enjoy quite a bit. This one back here is my Hoya rotundiflora. I think I finally said it right. I always say rotundifolia. It's definitely not that, but definitely a very unique Hoya because of these like rectangular leaves, which is really fun. This one hasn't been growing as fast. As you can see, this kind of vine is dead here, but it's been putting out new leaves. It probably just needs maybe some more nutrients or something. I'm not always the best at staying on top of houseplant chores, so sometimes they get a little neglected. So it definitely impacts them when they're smaller, but as they get bigger, they can kind of hold their own. But this is one that kind of got impacted a little bit while it was smaller, as you can see by that vine. But you can see there's kind of a couple, sorry about the bad lighting, there's a couple leaves hanging down there, but definitely a pretty unique one as well. The mic is facing kind of a weird way, so I apologize about the audio, but next I have this little plate here with a couple cuttings. So this one's a Hoya Sunrise that I quite like. It's super easy to take care of. It's been putting off leaves and it's just like sitting in this cup. I took a video maybe like last week, and this is a tiny little nubbin, and now it's like already a leaf, and it's still just like living in this tiny little cup, so it's doing quite well. This one is an Acuta, I believe it's called. Another cutting I received from Adam. Definitely really cool. Put out this full new leaf in my care. So definitely a fun variety. Also needs to get repotted. This is a Hoya Dacia. Has not put out any new leaves. I don't know if it's a slower grower or it just really needs to be repotted. I'm not sure. But this one's also on the list for repots. Really cool shaped leaves. Almost like this triangular heart kind of thing, but also a pretty cool variety. Last is this Croniana Black. I think Adam said it might be a Lactinosa, he's not really sure, but also put out a leaf or two up top there. But another cutting I received. It's put out a few leaves in my care. Once again, just kind of sitting in this cup. So these all desperately need to be repotted. They're definitely on the short list for repots, but I just got to get around to it. Maybe I'll do it a little bit later today. The rest of my Hoya kind of reside by this other window under this grow light. There's just a few over here, so I'll kind of go through those. This is my Macrophylla. Also got some really good sun stressing. Also some really giant leaves. I think it's due to the light that's in this area is really great. Pretty easy to take care of. Nothing crazy. Hasn't put out a lot of leaves, but it did have some peduncles over there that have bloomed and since kind of fallen off. Pretty easy grower, and I really like the leaf shape. It just kind of looks really reptilian, so that one's pretty fun. I have kind of like two crinkle-8s here. So this is the actual pot of crinkle-8 that I showed in my last video. It's a pretty small pot, as you can see back there. So it does need to be repotted. It has this like really severe lean. And then these here are just cuttings that I'm chopping and propping. So I took them, they have since rooted. I just need to pot them back in. I basically need to repot that one and put those back into the pot. But it's not a large project, but it's just something I got to get around to. But I've definitely been slacking. Story of my life, you know, just overwhelmed with other things, but I will get around to it, I promise. This one over here is my variegated Hoya Carrii. So you can see this like long vine kind of coming up. That's like the main stalk. Pretty much everything comes off of that stalk here, as you can kind of see. Kind of just all comes off. Really nice splashing on this one here. Nice shape, kind of that heart shaped with the albo marginata, if you will. Was a slow grower in the beginning, but then started to kind of take off. This one also needs to be repotted. You can see kind of a tiny pot down there, so it just needs to be up potted for sure. Really thick center stalk there, which is kind of cool for this one here, but fun Hoya for sure. Back here's my obovata. So you can see like this leaf here, it's a different color because I chopped and propped and then it didn't do so hot. It has finally kind of taken hold, but it did take some damage when I did that. There's a couple others in there. But then you can see there's kind of this main stalk where most of the action's happening. This is its newest leaf, which is like the biggest one, which is always really fun. Also nice splashing on there as well. So definitely one of my favorites. I think it was one of my first Hoya. I also like the leaf shape is just kind of like thick and flat, which is really fun, but definitely a cool Hoya there. I have a queen back here, a crimson queen. You can see she's putting off some kind of just white leaves down there, which isn't really great. Gotta trim those back. But overall, pretty simple Hoya. Nothing too crazy, but still pretty cool. There's also this weird like mutant leaf here that kind of looks like a whale's tail, which I think is pretty fun. It's the only one on there, but it looks pretty interesting. But then I have a couple in this little dish here. This one here is a Lohari, Hoya Lohari. I got it from a live seller on Instagram, or not a live seller, but she basically does like story sales and on her Instagram. It's kind of a really unique leaf shape. It almost looks curled or like kind of like beans, which is pretty fun. I'll try to link her information down below so you can check her out. But I also did a video about when I received these, so I'll link that video as well. And then this is my Callistophylla. So this is one of my favorite Hoyas. I just love the coloration here. Like, look at the veining, that deep dark veining. It used to just be 3 leaves, but recently it's put out this one, and then these 2 up here. So it's kind of been like exploding with growth. It also had a peduncle that flowered and has since gone away. Definitely a fun Hoya, the Callistophylla. I, once again, need to repot that one, so that'll be coming soon. I basically just need to do like a huge repotting video coming to a channel near you in the future. Back by that window, I kind of forgot to mention these ones as I was over here, but I have my Pubicalyx over here. Really pretty splashy. I just did a video on that one as well, so that'll be linked as well. But this one's my biggest Hoya for sure. I mean, it's just giant. Like, look how freaking big that sucker is. Tons of leaves. Really nice splashy. Continuing to put out leaves, so definitely doing really well. And then hanging on my mirror, I have 2 varieties of Australis. So there's this one that's just a regular green Australis, and then this one is my Australis Lisa, which, sorry, it's a little blown out. It's kind of bright over here. But this one grows super well, really compact. I love this Hoya for sure. These 2 are both in soil, where most of my other Hoya are in leca at this point. I never really transplanted them out of their pots when I got them, so they're just kind of doing their thing. This one I've chopped back a few times, so you can see the vines are kind of growing up around the light again, but there's still some new growth coming in right up there. So these 2 are super easy and do really well on their own. But yeah, overall, that is my Hoya collection. Mostly by these windows under the grow lights. I've had the best success with them being under like really direct light. Not a ton, I mean I haven't counted in a while, but I think I have like 15 or so Hoya, maybe a few more. I'll have to do a tally and leave it somewhere. That's kind of the collection. To a certain extent, I figured done is better than never sharing. It's been something that people have asked about quite a bit, and I've just been like put it off, because I'm like, oh, I need to repot everything first, and oh, I need to like clean everything, and oh my god, it's so disorganized, blah. But I figure at the end of the day, you guys want to see the collection, not necessarily the space. It's not like this aesthetic home tour or anything. It's mostly just to show you what Hoya I have in my collection. What did you think about all my Hoya? Are there any that I have that have been on your wish list? Are there any that were like Hoya twins on? Let me know in the comments down below. If you liked what you saw today, please give it a huge thumbs up. Hit that like button, really helps out the channel. Subscribe, hit that little notification bell. That way you get notified every time I post new videos. Thanks for watching, we'll see you real soon.